Hola, Kinaleto, aka Mahadi Selepe, the girl that calls 4 countries home. Today I have a guest. It has been a while. She's been meaning to come here for a while. She is here. Welcome, Charity. She is here, guys. All right. So firstly, let me apologize. I know this was meant to be uploaded last week? Probably 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Anywho, it's here. Today we are talking about the relationship of parents and children when they move here, as in overseas, because I'm in Australia, if you're new to my channel. So parents, when they come here with grown children, things change, relationships change, the relationship dynamics, it becomes quite a challenge. So that is what we are talking about today. And let me also apologize about the video quality. So I struggled to download this video from my iCloud. It automatically saves there. I really struggled. So I decided to just screen record it, because I could play it from my camera roll, but I could not upload it onto my iMovie to edit it. So I just played it and did a screen recording, which has compromised the quality, and I probably have to lower the quality even more to upload it onto YouTube, because it's quite a huge file. Apologies. Love you guys. Thank you for being here. Enjoy. Okay. Hola, Kinaleto, aka Mahadi Selepe, the girl that calls 4 countries home. Today we have a guest. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi, I am Charity Musiwa. What do I say?
Yeah.
I'm 24 years old. I moved to Australia when I was 12, so I've been in Australia exactly half my life.
Wow.
And I moved to Kalgoorlie when I first moved here, and I moved to Perth when I began studying. And yeah, it's been an interesting upbringing in different cultures. Yeah.
Which is what we are talking about today. But before we talk, this lady can sing. The girl can sing. So we are gonna sing. So we have not sung in forever. We sang this song, goodness, I think it was 2 years.
2017.
Oh, 3 years ago. We sing in a group called Amarai. We had a concert and we did this duet. We have not done it since. We have not practiced. I have not practiced. She's just walked in. I was like, we have got to sing for the people before we start. So I don't know how this is gonna go. So let's see how it goes. Right, I just miss singing, guys. Yeah, so.
I think you started, hey?
Did I start?
I think you started, and then I went with Jesus.
Okay.
I don't know, figure it out.
I don't even know what key. I think it's what? I think. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it sounds right. Now it sounds right. It's better start lower than higher.
Yeah. What? Okay. So we do His Eyes on the Sparrow. From Sister Act 2. So, okay. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home?
When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend, He is here. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on are changed.
Amen. Hallelujah, sister.
I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know you are changed me.
I know.
I'm glad we made it through. Oh my gosh, that felt so good. That felt so nice. The most place I built out these days is in the kitchen. When you're
Oh
cooking,
man,
like,
honestly.
hallelujah.
Message for all Amara members, you know yourselves. Can we revive? Please, can we revive the dying horse? Thanks for that, Charity. Oh, you guys, as you heard, she's amazing. She needs to record a CD. So thanks for coming today. So today we're going to talk about when children move from back home, but in this case specifically, African Charity is from Zim. So when you move as a family from one culture to the other, want to just hear her experience of basically her experience is how do you cope, what are the differences and all that. Was it difficult to settle, to feel you're part of the people here, how did it feel being here after moving from home at the age of 12?
I mean, fortunately, at the age of 12, you've had the opportunity you are more aware of your environment back home, of the culture back home, of what your expectations back home. Well, I guess it depends per, individual. But at 12, I had a pretty good grasp of the environment around me and everything. Moving to Australia, I felt pretty welcome.
Okay.
But I was aware of my differences. I mean, I think I was one of two girls from Zimbabwe in my class. But nonetheless, like, I felt pretty welcome. People were intrigued. Like, oh, you're another girl from Zimbabwe.
Yeah. I find they're very friendly.
Yeah. So where did you come from? What's your experience? I mean, you'd still, back in 2008, you'd still get the odd, do you have lions walking around?
Yeah.
But
yes, of course.
I think people had become a bit more aware of the outside. And, there's more
different
living
countries
out
there.
Yeah. So fortunately, it was a good welcome in that sense. Challenges, I guess, were just like the interactions with adults and children. Here you'd never, in Africa, back home, you'd never swear at a teacher under any, like, I just can't think of the circumstances where you are swearing at an adult or speaking anyhow. Like, that for me was a culture shock. The teacher would be like, can you do something? You're like, no, miss, stuff off, miss. I'm like, and they didn't use stuff off. I'm just being,
but friendly. But I was about to say, they use the worst one.
They use the actual word.
I thought it's better here. In the UK, kids are like that at schools.
Oh, well, same. Well, I don't know now. I haven't been in school for a while now. But when I was there, this is in primary school. Yeah, and I wouldn't say like. It was a public school, but it wasn't like super wild. You have your odd children that act up. Like, it's not everyone.
Not everyone was wild, like that.
But a few, select students, and I'll be like,
oh my goodness, like to an adult,
not even just an adult, a teacher. So that was a cultural shock for me. And I'd go home and be like, this is very strange, but I mean I knew to leave that outside the door. That's not going anywhere.
Not
in
my this
parents' house. Woo, no, I would never. But it's just an interesting thing to observe how that interaction went down. And it's but at 12 not to what
what not to do.
what not to do.
You've already brought up. You are already like, by the time you reach 12, you already know your principles, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and all that.
Definitely.
So what would you say, like, about discipline? The children coming here and seeing how the others act. How are African parents supposed to deal with their children being like that?
Yeah. Before we even get to having to deal with the issue, probably should not expect it, but rather ease your child into the new culture and ease yourself into the new culture. Because by the time you have to be disciplining, when you've gotten to having to discipline us as children because of that, maybe things have gone wrong way before. Because now I've already adopted the new behavior. So before even having to deal with it, if we can acknowledge the possibilities of your kids adopting incorrect or the wrong behaviors, we can be aware of it. So as parents, if you try and observe how people interact, I mean, I'm sure even in the workplace, to some degree, there's just weird interactions that you can read. Okay, if I'm experiencing this at work, what more for my child at school? What more for my child outside interacting with other children? It's like, okay, so these are things they might be dealing with, because I feel like, when you're dealing with these things in adulthood at work, these are things they didn't start at adulthood at work. They started
at work. Can you make an example without?
I don't know.
Of
and some people just have an odd way of expressing themselves. They just don't have tact in expressing, even if they have a good opinion or a good point. If you don't express it tactfully in a way that will be received well, then you will lose the point. And I think that stems from growing up just not knowing how to communicate. So as children, if we are not taught how to speak well, whether at home or at school, where there's an adult,
you know that how not to talk to
how not to adults, talk to people be respectful at work, at school. If you just don't know as a young adult and you're not corrected, then by the time you grow up, it makes it even worse. So I feel like so if parents can be like, okay, so we're moving to a new environment, there'll be new cultures, there'll be different people my children have to interact with. And it goes for both parents and children, because parents will be going into a new workplace as well, and children will be going into the new school. So if we can both be aware, it's going to be different. It's different from where we're coming from.
Because I think a lot of us don't think that way. We're thinking it's the exact same. It's a world. It's just a different world, a different
country, different culture,
but you're not thinking exactly how different. So I think from what I'm hearing, like, it's very important to acknowledge that and to educate yourself about what's the culture like there. What is it like?
And it doesn't mean no matter how much we try to prepare ourselves, it doesn't mean that we'll be ready. But just preparing yourself to be ready for anything in itself will make it easier for you. It's not a matter of adopting and saying, okay, now that we've moved from Africa, let's change. No. It's just saying, okay, we're moving from Africa. There'll be different things where we're going. There'll be different cultures, there'll be different expressions, there'll be different ways of speaking. Okay, so then when you go there and you start experiencing it, it's not like it's more of so this is how they speak. This is how they interact.
What do you think of parents who send their children back home if they misbehave, when they rebel, when they're rebellious, and they just send you back home?
I mean, I guess that becomes a personal issue within that family. But I feel like
there's ways to deal with things.
So if we've had discussions prior, so most of the time I think when kids act up for us, I think we don't understand our identity. Where are we? Who are we? And when we end up adopting these cultures and these, especially unacceptable behaviors, I feel like we know what's acceptable. There's no way a 15-year-old doesn't know that it's not okay to be drinking or smoking or doing any kind of wild behavior. But it's like, well, I fit in better when I do this way. And I might feel cool. that at this age it's more valuable for me to be friendlier with my friends at school than to be getting along with my parents at home.
Yeah.
But because at home our parents sometimes didn't get the opportunity and didn't have the tools or the equipment to sit us down and say, hey guys, so this is how we grew up in Zimbabwe or in South Africa or in Congo. This is how we understand life. This life here is different. And you guys are going out there and you're going to see different things. You're going to interact with different people. But when you come home, we can discuss those things and we can see how or what it is that affects you guys daily, and we can learn how you guys are interacting with people out there. It doesn't mean that we'll be accepting any kind of anyhow and speaking anyhow to us. No, but we're seeing how what's going on out there in your lives, because you can't just ignore Guti. I think as parents sometimes you guys are working shifts, you're tired,
busy, you're unavailable,
busy. You're also trying to support us, and that's no fault to anyone.
It has to be done. You don't have exactly
to support us.
That's the life.
That's the point of being
here.
So sometimes you just don't have the time. We don't have sometimes
to do
talking about just having discussions with parents. Sometimes can be hard because our parents sometimes didn't grow up having discussions with their parents. They went to work, they brought bread home, and we went to church on Sabbath. We went to church Sabbath afternoon. That's true. So if our parents didn't learn to have those discussions, there's no way it's easy for them to start having conversations suddenly with us. It's back home, kids are seen, not heard. So it's like that's discussions so about what for who.
I think you saying this just highlights an amazing family you grew up in. So we're not talking like this because she's a parent. No, we're talking like this because she's the child. So I know we look the same age, but I'm her auntie.
Amen.
So I think because you are one of the girls that I look at, and I want Harley to come up to be like you. I want you to share how you. I mean, for Harley was born in the UK anyway, so she's never lived in Africa. So she hasn't. There's no culture difference, whatever, but it's still a challenge because she's growing in an African home. So I want to hear for you, how come you turned out so good? I should probably be asking your parents. but for you, because you guys are such a beautiful family. They're very, very funny, the family, and they're very close. Would you say that has helped, because I think as African parents we tend to be very rigid, especially when we feel like we've been rebelled against, that it's my rules, or you're otherwise sending you to Africa, So how would you say, for you, what do you think has helped you? Because you're now independent and everything. You finished your uni, you're now working, and everything. You have your own place, your own car. From when I knew you, you were just starting uni, or you were even in high school. I don't know. So what would you say for you has made you into this amazing woman that you are?
Well, my father would say that's my mom's car.
Okay.
He actually called me the other day. He's like, do you tell people it's your car or your mom's car? Huh? Which one is it? But, I thank them every day for letting me use their car until I can get mine. But hopefully soon. But, I think my parents' personalities in general also helps. They are very easygoing. But my father,
because what I'm interested also
as well. Early 2000s. So I think that helped because he wasn't the first. Us moving to Australia wasn't a whole new first time thing, and he was a teacher when he worked in the UK.
Okay. All right.
So he had how do I say?
Yeah, he had
got to understand
experience of these behaviors,
of these
wild
things
behaviors.
out there. Yeah. So when we then became a whole family in Australia, I think he'd come to understand enough of how to interact with us
to make sure you don't
to make sure that things don't go pear-shaped.
Because what I'm curious about is how come they're laid back but you're not spoiled. How did So they're also the discipline. Like how did that happen? Because my kids are still gonna come up to that age. It's a difficult one. It's a challenging one for a parent to let kids to be laid back and just let kids live and be themselves, which is what I try by all means. But it's also a worry of can you be being too relaxed, basically.
I think it's about knowing your child, because I don't think they'll be relaxed if I was also a personality. In general, I'm very reserved and I'm a homebody. So it's like for them they're like,
you're not going to be going to parties or anything.
I think it's about knowing your child's personality and really understanding how they act, and only then can you, I guess, know how to then try to learn how to interact with them according to their personality. And it's not saying, Guti, now I have to like change myself as a parent to accommodate my child. Well, it's like, well, do I as a parent try and learn my child and accommodate them, or do I then rule with an iron fist and then they still go left,
do things that are not effective
and you lose at the end of the day. So it's a very hard thing. So I think my parents just, as a child, I think they just saw that this one.
Okay.
I'm very like when I'm interacting with people that I know and comfortable with, and I am, I know how to have a good time. But if I'm in a place where I don't necessarily, I'm not familiar with, or people I don't know, I'm not as out there as I am. But I do enjoy meeting people. But I am quiet. And when it comes to things like going out, for example, it's not that my parents never let me go out or they say no ever, but they knew that if I were to go out, they felt confident in everything that they taught me, that they'd be like, make good decisions. And I mean, it wasn't like a just go every time. It's like once in a while when there was special occasions, they'll be like, okay, do we know their parents? Okay, if we don't know their parents, we'll drop you off, we'll just suss out the place and then we'll go. It's not a matter of like, so we should let them go. No, it's a matter of understand the people they interact with, understand the environment they're going to be in, and you feel comfortable, let them go. It's not a matter of like, kids here just go to parties and let them go. No. Okay. It's still a matter of who is it? There's still boundaries. It's very important to have boundaries, and that's something I respect about my parents. One time I was going for a sleepover, and that's something my parents always were pretty relaxed about, as long as they knew the people. And they're like, well, this is the first time we're going to this place. I think it was we lived in Kakuli then. So it was it's the first time I was going to this place. Like, well, we'll go inside as well and say hello to the parents. And if you're comfortable, then we'll leave you. And that home it's someone my parents knew. So, it was really a formality for them to come in and really suss out the place. But they felt comfortable with the person in general. So now they just wanted to suss out what they could see of the home. So there are boundaries, and there is good communication in terms of what is expected of you in that sense. It's not just everyone. You don't assume that your kid knows what is expected of them if you don't communicate it. Because I think you guys growing up back home, you just sort of knew because
we knew.
You saw your cousins, your older siblings growing up.
Plus also it's not just your parents. Who are your parents?
Everyone.
Even the neighbors, they can hit you. Like if you get out of everybody, the village is your parents.
Is your parents.
So...
so there's that thing you guys got to see others, observe and learn from that. Whereas here, I mean, I feel like I had the, I guess, what's the advantage of having a few people older than me that I could also look up to as well. So that was easier. But I guess it's different where if you go up if you move to a city. If you move to a city where there are no young people at church, there are no young people around, it can be challenging. But if parents don't communicate the expectations,
that's a very good point.
And sometimes expressing expectations isn't necessarily about sitting down and say, listen, this is what I expect of you. Sometimes it's acting in the way that you expect of your children. If you expect your children to speak a certain way, you speak a certain way. Expect your children to act and greet people a certain way. You act and greet people a certain way. Because they will not.
That's very wise.
So now, if your child is switched on, that's another thing. Also, they're switched on, they'll also pick it up.
True.
But if you know a child might not pick it up, you might have to say, hey, my child, So
Please,
this is how we greet people.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Sometimes it's hard. So yeah, it's a matter of saying, okay, guys, this is where we come from. This is what we do there, and this is how it goes. And one thing I learned as well when my parents would tell stories about with them growing up. It's another way I learned. So this is how mom and dad grew up. This is how they became who they are now. Okay, so that is what was expected of them then. Okay, so me, what do I want to do? What does that mean for me? And that helped me, I guess, shape my identity in a way. But that's something I've always liked doing, observing people and understanding why they might act the way they do. It's like, maybe they grew up this way, maybe they grew up that way. Okay. So when someone speaks to me like this, it's not necessarily that they're being mean to me. Sometimes
this is what they observe
that way.
And
that's how they learn to talk. It's not necessarily a good way to talk, and it's not effective. I mean, I'll understand you because I will think outside the box in terms of what is this person trying to communicate to me? Okay, let me try and help them. But some people, if you have two personalities that are different, it's like you can't speak to me anyhow. Well, the person didn't necessarily mean to be mean.
For them, that's how they
speak. So now it's clashing. But me, I guess I've just grown up that way. I'm trying to learn and understand people to know how to best communicate to them and get what I need for them, and then what they can get what they need from me best. But at the beginning, it's easier to just have been taught as a young person and to grow up knowing these things, but not everybody
has that advantage.
To grow up that way. So
wow. Okay, so when you talk to your friends or colleagues or whatever, people who are in your situation, who have moved from back Africa to here, what do they say their experiences have been?
I mean, they've had good times and bad times. They've had challenges as well.
As you do.
And so I have a few points, I guess, that they brought up. So cultural differences and expectations to abide by their culture. So now you've moved to Australia or from wherever you come from, and sometimes our parents are just here to make the better living, but they're not here. They're here to make money, but they still
their heart and soul.
Their heart and soul and their mind and their body.
Back home, they build a house in Zimbabwe or wherever.
That's where they are, and somehow they just feel like it's expected of you to feel the same way. Because we're from Zimbabwe, we're from South Africa. So I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna do everything that I can, I'm gonna make a good living here, and then but eventually when I retire, we're all going back, or I'm going back, and then this is just how we're gonna live. But meanwhile, they've forgotten they grew up there and they saw Zimbabwe and South Africa at their prime. We grew up here. Or we've moved and we've never seen our countries at their prime. I mean, for me, South Africa is better off, but Zimbabwe, I've never seen these green parks or these beautiful roads.
The way it used to be.
Talk about. It's like Zimbabwe was beautiful. It was a breadbasket of Africa. I'm like, where? Where though? But and it's in their heart because that's their
That's home. Yes.
That's home, and it's our home. But when we move here. And we grow up here. This becomes our home.
I totally understand because I was 12, turning 13 when we moved to South Africa from Lesotho. And for me, South Africa feels more like home than Lesotho, so I understand.
Was Hale would probably feel like this is home.
Yeah, because when she came here, she was
a baby. And she grew up in UK as well.
She was born in the UK.
So
home... South Africa is not home for her. Lesotho is not home for her. It's where the parents come from. It's not home.
But for you, it's our home.
For us, it's home. Like remember, Molapo and I were always wanting to go back home, telling the kids we're going back home, and poor kids, you can see for them they're a bit lost because for them that's not their home. We want to go home, but don't want to lose their life here, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's not that we don't want it to be our home, by no means. It's just that we haven't experienced it the same way you guys have. It's not that we're willfully saying nah.
No, yeah.
You know,
and you also have a home here.
Yeah.
You know, your home has been.
Our friends are here. Sometimes, I mean, I still speak both languages, Shona and Ndebele back home, but because of the age I came in at this point, I express myself better in English than any of those two. At this point now, I'm scraping by.
Yeah, okay.
You know, if I were to go home and try to, you know, I can have a conversation with someone. But beyond...
Don't tell you're foreign.
You know, it's like... No, I can even, you know, you can change the accent, you can do everything.
Okay.
But you can't have... You can only have surface level conversations, nothing deeper than surface level things. So when we come here and we're brought up here, depending on the age, of course. But most of the time this becomes home, not because we don't like where we come from, we don't love where we come from. It's just it happens. In the same breath, there are parents who then we move here and forget to teach their children about home altogether. Now it comes to languages. It becomes difficult because now it's not because the parents don't want to teach them, but it's like because you guys didn't have to be taught how to speak.
Exactly. So we don't exactly.
You didn't have to be taught.
No,
it was.
You just spoke it. Yes.
It just was. Whereas here, it's you have to work hard. You have to work
to make
hard.
it happen.
It's a hard thing.
It is.
But one of my friends like, I wish my parents had been a bit more active in trying to teach me the language. I mean, as a child, sometimes they might act up, and sometimes as a child you don't see the advantage. You guys, you refuse.
The that's the thing. Sometimes you start and you guys are bored. The kids are bored. They don't want to know, and you're like, I don't have this patience. Just leave this.
Keep going. Speak it at home. Speak it so that they have no choice but to learn it. If they won't ever speak it, let them be able to understand. Speak it to.
Okay, I'm inspired. I'm gonna start speaking it again.
Until they're just like, well, this is how we're doing things around here. That's the end of it. There's no if, buts, and anyhow. So language, understanding the importance of that, because now I can go anywhere back home, even though I'm not super fluent in it anymore. I know how to find my bearings. I know how to ask for help. I know how to still be part of the environment. So now I don't feel lost. When I go home, I'm not like...
It helps you a sense of identity.
I'm like, let's get in there. Let's do things. So they found that easy. And then just also acknowledging that your kids are just caught up in two cultures. Acknowledge that they are in a place where...
And the two cultures are valuable. They're both
valuable, because if you constantly antagonize one culture, it will feel like it's us and them now. In one household, it can easily become the parents and the children. It should be a family. It's like, so my children will be learning how to do this and this. Here you're taught independence. You're taught all these things, or it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just how we live here. At 18, people move out here. At 18, back home, I wouldn't know what moving out is if I live back home. It's not because it's right or wrong. It's just how it's done here.
You're not an adult. Like this adult thing, moving out, this, that.
No, for what? For who? For the what? You know? There's none of that. But it's understanding here, it's like, it's not necessarily that your child will have to move out, but it's understanding it's like, they do move out because A, B, C, D. They are considered adults. They are doing this, they're doing that. So if my child wants to move out, what will I do? How will I react to that? What discussions are we having?
I hope you're not moving out.
What discussions are we having of the expectations of that? Do you want them to move out? Do you want them to save money? And don't it? So then, if you the expectations of it, let it not be a... my child,
let's see what are the advantages.
What disadvantages. We want you to save money, we want you to do this, so that it's not just I want you to do this, that's the end of it. You're gonna have discussions. I think that's another thing. Back home it was I say, you do. Here we're gonna have to be doing, we discuss. To some degree, not everything, to some degree. At certain ages there has to be room for discussions. I mean, it's even easier when you have discussions. Even if you were to enforce your rules, because it's your house at the end of the day. Even if you were to enforce your rules, it's still advantageous to discuss why you're enforcing certain rules and certain point of views.
So they understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So that so it's not just a matter of no, I just don't want you to go to this. No, it's like okay. I don't want you to wear this, or I don't want you to act like this. I don't want you to do this because that's not how I would like you to interact or act in my house, or
that's very important.
And then when they have questions, let's not be just because I said so.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
This is
because the things we are used to. We were brought up like that.
Yeah.
I said so.
Yeah,
you can't be asking. So. What do you mean? You're asking me.
You're asking what? It's like I'll give you a reason.
Yeah.
To cry. Don't try me. But here it's important, I think, to really have good discussions. It's hard. It's going to be awkward, especially for parents that they've never had to have discussions. Discussion for who?
Yeah. For what?
But it's like it's important to discuss, because if you don't, it feels like your parent is closing the door on you. If you don't, when as a child, when you have a question for your parent, and you feel comfortable to approach them to ask the question, it's actually a very good thing. Sometimes some questions are awkward, like especially when you've grown up in a culture where you ask and talk anyhow outside, and some kids don't necessarily grasp. It's like sometimes parents don't necessarily feel comfortable having certain conversations. But actually, as a parent, you should be ready to have any conversation with your child. So when they come to you and say, "Mom and Dad, why is this like this? Why is that like that?" It's like, well, in Australia or in the West, this is how it is because A, B, C, D, and E, F, G. It's like, okay. So having an open door as a parent for us to be able to be like, but why is this going on? But then this happens, and it also makes it easy for then your child to ask questions when they have challenges. Boundaries, like I was saying. So when you set expectations, that also sets up boundaries of where and what. How things happen as well. So when you, I don't know, if for example, sometimes boundaries isn't necessarily a never, it's a not now. So if you're not comfortable to have a certain discussion with your child at a certain time, not everyone is, easygoing about everything. It's a matter of like, can we discuss that at a later age? Yeah. But when your child has brought it up now, it probably means that they might need an answer now. Yeah. It needs to be addressed now. Because if you let it go, you will see. Boundaries can be like, let's discuss it at another time. Sometimes it's not that the right environment. Sometimes you personally don't feel yet prepared to be able to have a good conversation.
Sometimes as parents we feel we need our own research.
Yes, and that if that's the case, then. But once your child has brought a certain question up, it means probably it's time to now address this question. So sometimes you need to be ready.
Yeah.
To
be flexible as parents. Be rigid.
Room for failure. So I think it goes for both ways with parents and children. When you were growing up, you had fears. Yeah. You had doubts about life in general, about all those things. But you were in a place that was home.
Yeah.
And where you felt accepted everywhere you went. Here, it's emphasized that you're different. Not necessarily because people out there saying you're different, but you're different. You're from Africa. You have an accent sometimes. If you're older when you come here, there are lots of expectations around your being a certain person, color, race, culture, all of those things. Plus, your parents' expectations for you. Yeah. It's like I worked hard to come from Africa.
The sacrifices I made to come here. I sold my house, sold everything to come here.
And this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, not what you want them to feel like you can just do anyhow, act anyhow, and should be okay. No, it's like, well, we're going to have challenges. It's going to be hard.
I think the cultural thing as well, because I feel like back home you expected to always do the right thing.
Yeah. So it goes both ways. It's just saying, Gucci, when things happen, it's just acknowledging in a way that you're saying, well, okay, this time it didn't work out. Yeah. Let's try again. After everything I've done for you, how can you do this? Hey, how could you get a B? How could you get a D? Well, things happen, and I'm sure you got a D at some point as a
know what I
parent.
mean?
You didn't.
That's
You
true.
weren't perfect.
That's true.
Do not expect your children to do
To be
things you
perfect.
couldn't do.
Exactly.
Don't do it.
Exactly. Oh my days.
Acknowledge unity. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna do as children. We'll do our best that we can.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can be pushed a bit more. Sometimes you just need to say, you know what, you've tried your best. Next time we'll try harder. Do you need help? What can I do to help you next time?
Wow.
It's not you see, these children. I see your child. It's sometimes you need to be like, buddy, I didn't go well this time.
Yeah.
And
next time you can,
next time let's
try
do
harder,
better.
let's do better.
And it's not babying us. It's just saying, Guti, acknowledging, Guti.
Encouraging. It's
hard.
not easy. Yeah.
It's not easy. I mean, some people can say school over here is easier than school back home. But if you've never been school back home, you can't compare. Guti is easy, it's hard. For you, it's hard. If this is your one experience, this is what you know.
Yeah.
So we would like parents to acknowledge the hard work that we put in. Yes, of course, some of us are dodgy and are lazy, and some of us really, if you know your child,
you know your child, yeah.
And sometimes it's like, okay, you know what,
you've really tried, just be. Wow. So very briefly, I want you to maybe in 1 minute, if you can just share how you feel your relationship with God has helped your family, like the way you guys live and the way you've been brought up and the way you've been able to listen to your parents, and be the person that you are today.
Yeah, I think one thing that helps is I have very prayerful parents. They're people of prayer.
Wow.
They're people that are active in church. There's no church they'll go to and somehow they don't end up as something.
Some sort of leadership.
I'm like, how did you get there? What happened? We just got here.
Yeah.
But there are people that have been very active in church, and that's something I've learned from them. And from them, it's just not a see. Now we are people do things in church. No, it's something they do from the heart.
Wow.
Whether it's teaching Sabbath school and everything. So for me, growing up watching my parents be people that love God. Yeah. Not just say they love God, but they love God. And I can see that in the way they interact with people. We'd go to church one time in the morning, next minute we're coming with people you don't know for lunch. You're like, who are these people? Why are they here? What's going on? But they're people that have shown their love for God, not just by going to church, but in the way they interact with each other and other people. Yeah. And so for me, that has been, I guess, a guide of the love God has for me has been, has flowed through my parents to me, and I felt God's love through my parents, not just as my parents, but as people that are guiding me to then later on be able to guide my own family or guide other people around me. So my relationship with God has grown up, has been fostered, I guess, from my childhood onwards. Now, as an adult and having to make your own decisions, it is harder. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It is. Now it's not a matter of mom and dad say go to church. We're going to church today. Yeah. It's like I want to go to church because I want a relationship with God, because it's important to me. Yeah. Because God loves me. Wow. He sacrificed his son. Okay. Yeah. It's a matter of what decision am I making for me now, and why am I making that decision? Because now it's not a let's go. Saturday morning, let's go to church. It's okay, I have to go
what
to
am
church.
I doing? Choices
I have
to,
I would like to go to church. I would like to be active in church. I'd like to do this and that. It's a continuous journey. It's a hard journey. When you grow up,
parenting yourself.
Parenting yourself. And it's not easy. It has challenges, but every day I remember that God loves me. And I'm not perfect. And he knows that, and he's fine with that. That's why he sent Jesus to come there. And that's fine. But keep on praying. And my parents continue to pray for me. Mom wakes up at 5 a.m. to pray. She has a prayer group. Remember when I was in uni, she'd have this prayer group, and she's a woman of prayer, and that for me motivates me. And that's something as children also that we see. When we see our parents praying, when we see our parents reading their Bible, when they see our parents actively getting ready for Sabbath school, and not just on Friday, throughout the week, that's something we learn also. It's like, okay. And that's behavior where we can choose or not choose to have also. But we see, so we're not just seeing mom and dad at church, interacting with people like, so we go to church on Saturday, we do church things on Saturday, and that's
but
it.
But at home there's nothing.
It's it's church and
Wow,
God
it's a
all
lifestyle.
the time. It's
Lifestyle.
it's lifestyle. It's not just praying before dinner and lunch, and then on Saturdays that's it. It's life.
Wow.
Don't separate. It's
Yeah.
life. And
Oh. On that note, that's such a good note to finish on. Thank you so much, Charity, for being here. You have truly blessed us. You've blessed me. Oh my goodness. So I didn't know she's so wise, you know. She's always just joking around, laughing, and but I've learned like so much wisdom, honestly, from what you were sharing. As a mom who has children who are still gonna get to your age, just. I have a child who's gonna turn 18 next year in a few months, actually in April, So I was taking some really important mental notes there. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching. Love you, but remember that God loves you even more, and that is true. Ciao, ciao. Helen, you watched everything. Thank you so much for watching everything. Now don't forget to subscribe and go back to my other videos and scroll and scroll and scroll and watch everything. There's very good things in here, very good interesting things. You are number one. Now thank you and take care of yourself.